It's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. And it reads, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua answered me and said, write the vision, meaning the prophecy, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, meaning for those that we give his truth to, fellow Israelites, trying to wake them up out of their slumber. We make it plain so they can run, and get themselves right, with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, to run to this truth. Verse 3, for the vision, meaning the prophecy, is yet for appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Although these prophecies have, started, stopped, every prophecy, certain things must take place in their due time, But as of 2025, the Lord truly has been shaking this place up, because a lot has been happening through the Spirit, And we seeing the infrastructure, brother bringing out, the digital public infrastructure, we seeing the lay the foundation for this digital beast system. Verse 4, behold, his soul which is lifted up, whoso Esau Edom soul, is not upright in him. And scriptures talk about who can make straight what the Most High made crook. But the just shall live by his faith. And who are the just? The hopeful elect, or the elect of Israel. They're going to live based on faith. So we're not going to worry about how we're going to eat or survive when that, that micro C-hip is made mandatory, because we know, the prophecies and the scriptures say that the Lord is going to take care of us. This Lord is going to provide for us. The scriptures tell you in the book of Isaiah, which I got on deck, says, my servant shall eat. While, these people that trusted in the system said, you should be hungry. Because, a brother was bringing this out, once you joined into Esau's secret societies and these different things, you thinking that pretty much, you do an abominable act, and that's just the end of it. But no, once Esau has you, you got to continue in your wickedness, Scriptures talk about he that depart of evil maketh himself a prey. And of course, these elites, can't stand us, To a liar, the person that's telling the truth, that would be, that's public enemy number one. Verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Esau Edom is the proudest man on the planet. Even with this place going down, you got Esau Edom still proud. It's kind of like how a whorish woman will sit up there, be selling box, but still proud, talking shit like, to a nigga. You like, how are you not, only time I seen a female shame face, well, I ain't gonna say the only time, but I seen a female shame face when Charleston White was getting in her ass. And, and I can't stand Charleston White. I'm always talking about Charleston White, because I can't stand the snitch ass nigga. But at the same time, like the brother always bring out that old school saying, even a broke clock is right twice out the day, But he made a statement because, you have these proud ass women, and she up there like, this and this and that and that, and he like, shit, my daughter ain't got to sell her box to get her first car. He says she got a daddy, while you got to sell your box. Verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Look at where he at in Venezuela. He trying to be in Mexico. He trying to be all over the planet with all the problems we got going on in Babylon the Great. Who enlargeth his desires hell, everything he sees, his eyes lay upon. He want what you got and what he got. You know what I'm saying? He covetous. He who enlargeth his desires hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6, the point, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe, destruction to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. When you go to that word clay, it's the Hebrew word abatya, meaning heavy debts, which this U.S. Debt note, this fiat currency, this federal debt note pretty much, is losing It's thick clay, because it's a debt, you know. And, at one point in time, the military was able to prop up the U.S. dollar, but, pretty much now, the dollar's about to be dead. And I'm about to show you something through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So I want to start by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to call Elohim like Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, by Shem Hakodash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. Brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh. By Hashem Yahushai, Yahweh meaning he is, he exists, or he to be. By Hashem, by his end, how is the Hashem his name. Yahushai meaning he saves or he delivers. True names of the Most High God and the Son. These people English call God Jesus Christ, but true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh. By Hashem Yahushai. This lesson is inspired by a video I saw on Dabu 7's channel. So I'm going to say fair use, Copyright Act. I'm just playing this video and going to line it up with some scriptures. Lord's willing, it's edifying. I mean, Lord willing, they don't cut the video. I don't got a large number of subscribers, so maybe the Lord will allow, it to be, seen, because this is a major sign of this dollar about to fall. And the brother, the arrows, that brother, he always bringing out, great content, informative information. And he was talking about, it was somebody that was pretty, because, when you look at the stock market, it's patterns, because they're using this funny money, you know what I mean? So, you've had recessions, you have had market crashes. And he was going into a video where you had an economist that pretty much was saying, 2026, 2027 is going to be the fall of the dollar. And this may very well be true just through the Spirit, because watch what this man about to do. We all know who this is, Warren Buffett, So, fair use, fair use.
Obviously, we wouldn't want to be owning anything that we thought was in a currency that was really going to hell. And that's the big thing we worry about with the United States currency. I mean, the tendency of a government to want to debase its currency over time is, there's no system that beats that. You can pick dictators, you can pick representatives, you can do anything. But the people, there will be a push toward weaker currencies. And of course, that is, I mentioned very briefly in the annual report that the fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States, because it's made the way it is.
And this right here is the warning of warnings. You're not going to get a bigger warning from anyone out there in the economic world. When Warren Buffett says something this stern and says that the U.S. dollar is not to be trusted, and that he's deploying $348 billion of his own dollars into the Japanese yen because he fears the dollar is about to collapse. This is massive. You've never seen someone in this kind of position make a move like this massive. So all the record amount of cash flow this guy had sitting on the sidelines, which was ominous in itself, is now going out of the dollar and into the yen.
And everybody's trying to figure out why he had that amount. Now, we knew he was going to do something with the money, but a lot of people assumed that he was going to pretty much wait till the market's crashing and buy up shit. He probably still got money set to the side to do that. But for him to put his money in a whole different currency says a whole lot.
People, you're not going to get many more warnings or signs outside of this. It's coming right around the corner. I hope you're ready. Join me for the live streams where I talk about it in greater detail.
So that's all I really wanted, So, we got some scriptures, because, scriptures talk about this money failing, you know what I mean? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 47. At the time, this was in ancient Egypt, and Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, is likened on the new Egypt. This is Genesis 47 and verse 13, and it reads, "And there was no bread in the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And, pretty much, you got to understand, Esau Edom uses, he searches out a matter, you know what I mean? So, he uses different tactics that were pretty much proven to be effective. That's why, you don't really see the devil coming with too many new tricks. If it works, he gonna play that trick out because most of people are stupid. Most of people are sheep. Most of people are, they're not critical thinkers. Most people are just led like sheep, and then you got the Judas goats, you know what I mean? So, like, again, a lot of people ain't gonna see this shit coming until it's already, they in it, until they lose everything. And that's a whole monster in itself. Because, again, when people are desperate, they do desperate shit, When people lose everything, people lose it. So, you got, ultimately it's gonna be a crash. Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 10 reads, and it shall come to pass that in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and the howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. So that's going into pretty much how, this market, the stock market is going to crash, you know what I mean? And that's why he's doing what he's doing. He just told you that in the video. He said, he said pretty much, he doesn't trust the dollar. Verse 11, how ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off, because the money's going to fail. James chapter 5, starting at verse 1, and it reads, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Because this money, we're not even really using real money. You're using a fiat currency, which isn't real. Real money is silver, gold, and assets, like cattle, livestock, land, these things are money. And they give the people, the elites understand this. Like I say, but they give the people monopoly money. That's why they got you hooked onto these, again, the elites, I'm pretty sure, just laugh in people's face. Laugh behind the scenes and laughing in people's face. But the thing is this, like, I forgot who said, I believe it was an elder, to show you how weak and cowardly they are. What king hides that he's a king? Why not just rule openly? It's a testimony to, like I said again, how weak and feeble they are. You want to rule from the shadows and shit, like Dark City. Verse 2, your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. You shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Which, again, scriptures talk about heap your treasures in heaven, because again, we're not even using real money. Some brothers have been fortunate enough to be able to accumulate some silver and gold. And look, I had some silver and gold at one point. You can see, I can say this, I've had to use a lot of it too, because it's just me. But at the same time, I've watched, and it call because the beloved elder apostle actually suggested it. That's the only reason. Other brothers was getting it too. So, and then I had the means to get it at the time. But I know, like, I wouldn't even try to get it again because, like, the one elder brother was going into, he said, it's at $66 now, silver. Again, like, when you was able to get gold the elder been buying gold and silver for years, when it was 300, back in the 80s, a dude was telling me about that. So, you getting an ounce of gold for 300. Now gold is almost like almost 4,000, 5,000. When I first began purchasing silver was like $22. Now that shit at 66. And it's going to keep going because, even Dabu went into that. Dabu said the silver going to go up because they, even the guy that I was dealing with, he owned a coin shop, and he was saying how pretty much, a lot of these governments gonna have to use that silver because you got silver that's used in like certain technologies, and Dabu was going into that. If you've been checking out silver, like I know the last time I went to a coin shop, they was like they don't even want they want a large amount of it. They're not gonna buy just 2 or 3 coins. They want, 10 ounces and better. So yeah, Lord willingly, you know, that's just a little way that the Lord blessed. The Lord always blessing though. For like the one brothers brought out the whole, crypto thing, and like I said, you use the world, you don't abuse it. You know what I mean? I always said if I get a chance to invest in it, I'm gonna do it just because, you know what I mean. We all, again, everybody got their own opinion of it, and I can relate and understand why Jake was like he ain't want to deal with it, but at the same time, like the elders going into, the digital ID, you're gonna have to utilize that. It's the charagma that you don't want to fuck with, So ultimately, this money system gonna fail. You know what I mean? This money system is already weak, and that's why that man Warren Buffett did what he did. Ultimately, pretty much people gonna lose everything. You're gonna have people that's gonna trust in the system and they gonna lose. You got people that got 401ks and all that. Like, why do you think the Great Depression came? People lost everything. And that's why people did, my dad was old school. He didn't trust no banks because he grew up around the time, I think my father was born in like 1936. So, Great Depression was what, 1929? The stock market crashed in what, 1929? So he was like 6 years old. So that's when they had it hard. And you got to remember, Esau was fucked up. That's where you get a lot of the welfare system and the social security system and all that because of what took place then. But a lot of people lost everything. And then, they already didn't fuck with Jake. So Jake had it hard. You know what I mean? Because like I said, for those that trust in the system, yeah, the Lord is going to, really like, like it's going to be all bad for him. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 12, and it reads, I'm starting at verse 11, but ye are they that forsake the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that troop, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, ye did not answer, when I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delight. And did choose that wherein I delighted not. Verse 13, the point. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Verse 14, behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. So ultimately, those that trust in Esau Edom gonna be, confounded and be foolish looking, while those that trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua gonna be taken care of and provided for. So, Lord willingly, this lesson was edifying. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, some Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. You will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise. I want to give all honor. I want to give all glory to call Loyam like Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem. Hakadosh. I'm going to say double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the 4 corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and freedom.
Listen up, fam. I'm going to show y'all how to stack up.
Risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua, to listen and learning. Lord willingly, this. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad, the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth to you. I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah and Mawath Lab. Kwam Yasharallah, shalom, and Mawath Lababal, shalom.